Hey, and welcome to part 3 of my health bar tutorial. This part is basically just a little fix or a little update to what I have done so far. Because after I made the first tutorial, I became aware of an easier way to create this health bar than I did originally. And I wasn't aware of this way of doing it because I wasn't that familiar with the Unity UI. But since then I've learned that you can actually do some things differently and do them a little in an easier way, because right now when we reduce our health, we go to our canvas, our background, our health bar, and then we take the health here and we move it to the left like this to reduce our health, and it works totally fine, and that's actually totally okay to do it this way. This is the old school way. This is exactly how I did it in the old days before the new Unity UI was out, but I've been made aware of that you can actually do this a different way. So instead of calculating the start position and the end position here, well, then we actually just need to change something on the image, because the image has a fill, and this fill can actually be reduced. So if you click on the health here and we go to the image type over here, we'll be able to click on symbol, and then we can select what kind of image type it is. And instead of selecting symbol, we can actually go to fill here, and as you can see here, there's a fill amount, and that's the one we can adjust from our code. And then there are some origins here and some fill methods. So first of all, there's a fill method. If we keep it on 360 degrees or radial 360 and we reduce the fill amount, you'll see that it goes around in a circle like this, and this is not what we want for this kind of health bar, because it's going to look weird if our health is being reduced like this. So instead of having it on radial 360, we can click here, and then we can decide what kind of fill method we want. So if we would take, let's say vertical for example, it would go from the top and go towards the bottom like this. That's not what we're interested in either. We want to change the fill method to horizontal like this, and then we can change the origin here from left to right, for example, but we want to keep it in left side. So now whenever I reduce my fill amount from 1 towards 0, you'll see that it actually gives us the same effect, just without moving our health bar. And it works the exact same way. It gives the same visual effect basically, but this might be a little cheaper on your game, because you only have to reduce the fill amount. You don't have to move any object or something, and it might be a little more precise than moving an object around on your screen. So this is what we're going to do from our code. So instead of moving our object, we're going to change the fill amount from 0 if we have 0 health, and to 100 and to 1, sorry, if we have maximum health. So to change this code, we have to go back into our player script. And when we're in our player script, we have to go to the function called handle health, because it's inside handle health that we're moving the health around. As you can see here, we are calling handle health bar, sorry, in update. So if we go to that function, we can see the code here where we actually changes the position of our health transform. So this code right here is changing the position. So instead of changing the position, I would like to change the fill of the bar instead. So what we have to do is that we have to replace this whole line called health transform, that position. We have to delete that, and we have to replace it with visual health, because the visual health variable here is actually a reference to the health here that we want to reduce here. So this is our visual health. So if we jump back here, visual health dot fill amount equals, and then we have to calculate how much we need to fill it, and that value needs to be something in between 0 and 1. And we already have a nice map method here that can map our health to a value between 0 and 1. So let's say we have 50 health, well then we need to have returned a value of 0.5, for example. So instead of mapping current health and 0 and max health and minimum value and everything, because these values are the positions that we need to map between before, Well, then we actually need to map our current health, and then we need to take 0 here, because if we go, let's see, can actually just delete this so we can read. So the first one is the X, that's the current value we want to map. So that's our current health. So we want to map our current health into a value between 0 and 1. The next one is the minimum we can get in, and the minimum health we can take is actually 0, because we can never get lower health than 0. The next one is the maximum we can get in, and that's our max health, because we can get between 0 and our maximum health, and that's the value we need to map to is between 0 and our maximum health, which can be 100 or it can be 200 or something. The next one is the maximum value, minimum value we want to get out. This is this one, so that's actually 0, and we want to map it onto 1. So this line of code takes our current health from 0 to max health and maps it into a value between 0 and 1 and stores it in current X value. So we might rename this to something else instead of current X value, because X value has something to say about the position, and we're not using the position anymore. So you might click on this, press F2, or right click on it like this, refactor, and then press rename, and then rename this to current value. Okay, so now we have our current value, and now we can start moving our health. And we also want to keep the lerp function we had before. So visual health that fillAmount equals math f dot lerp, and it needs to lerp from our visual health dot fillAmount. So the current fillAmount, for example 1, and needs to lerp to our current value, so the new value, and we're going to use the time dot delta time to set it. So now we're basically using the fillAmount to change our health bars, current health. So let's try to save this, jump back into our game, and if I go into the red, the health is reduced, and I also have on my space button I reduce my health by 10. So if I press that sometimes, you'll see that the health is also reduced to the health that I'll get. Now I can go in minus because I just haven't clamped it when I press the space button. But as you can see, it works fine. So because we just changed this code, we can actually get rid of some of the code inside our fields here. So if we go to our fields, we'll see that we have our max health and current health is still usable. Health transform is not needed anymore. Our cast Y is not needed anymore. Our minimum X is not needed anymore. Our max X value not needed anymore. Current value is needed, and these are needed. And here we can delete all this from our start function. So we can delete everything that has something to do with the variables we just deleted. The rest of it we need to keep. So now we've actually cleaned up a little. If we go back into Unity and we press our space button to reduce the health, you can see that it goes fairly slow for it to reduce to the value that we want. We can actually create a variable that makes this go faster, so that we will get to our goal faster, and we can do that in our player script again. Down here we can make a new variable called public float health speed or something, and this is just gonna be the health bars speed or something. So if we go down here, we can say that our visual health dot fillAmount dot lerp, and here we are deciding that we want to use the delta time to move it, and we can just multiply by our health speed. So if you save this and go back into Unity, then if we click on our player now, if I could find it, there it is, player C#. Then we can see we have this health speed now because we made it public in there. So let's say that our speed is 10, and let's run it again. press our space button, see that it gets reduced to that amount way faster. You can play around with this as you want. Maybe 10 is a little too fast, so let's put it at maybe 3 or something. It's gonna go a little faster. Yeah, that looks better. So that's how you can actually change it from lerping by moving the position, so that we actually, instead of moving it, we use the fill amount. As you can see here, instead of moving it, it looks the exact same, but we are not moving this to the left anymore. So that's it for this little fix. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done it already, then please support me by buying the project from the link in the description below. If you already bought one of the other parts of this tutorial, well, then just reuse your download link and you'll also get this part included in the download that you'll get. If you have any suggestions or requests, then please post them in the comment section below or send me a private message. And again, thank you very much for watching.